Hi, welcome to Give Me the Bible, where God's Word speaks for itself. In the last video, we asked the question, are all interpretations equally valid? And we said no, the Bible is not this completely subjective book so that whatever we get out of it must be right. That's just not true. And let me tell you why I think many people think that. And it's simply because a lot of people do interpret the Bible differently. There are a lot of people who call themselves Christians, and yet there's all these different beliefs and all these different denominations, and so the conclusion people have reached is, oh, well, that must mean we have no choice and the Bible just absolutely can't be understood, and all interpretations must be equally valid since everybody has a different belief. But let me just say, that's not a necessary conclusion to draw from that. The conclusion you draw from that is that there are people who are not interpreting the Bible properly. All right, that God, He wanted to communicate His will to us in a way that we could understand. And if we really say that none of us can understand God's will and we all have to get different things out of it, we're basically saying God had no idea how to communicate to us, the very people that He created. No, we need a different conclusion. The conclusion we need to draw is that people are not using the principles, proper principles of interpretation. Many of the ones that we've already talked about, especially that all-important principle of understanding that we need to find the meaning of the original author before we establish present-day meaning and present-day application. But let me tell you another reason why there are so many different beliefs and so many different interpretations, or the ways that people interpret the Bible, is because of a difference between what's called eisegesis and exegesis. Eisegesis means that you basically approach the Bible with a belief and a preconceived notion, and then you just use the Bible to prove that belief. Okay, so for instance, I believe, okay, that it's okay to drink wine and to get drunk, and so I approach that the Bible with that mindset. I've already kind of made up my mind that that's what I believe, and so now I'm just going to use the Bible to prove it. And so, for instance, maybe I go to 1 Timothy 5 and verse 23, and Paul tells Timothy, he says, no longer drink water exclusively, but use a little wine for the sake of your stomach and your frequent ailments. And so I take that verse and I say, see? Even Paul says it's okay to drink wine, and it's a good thing to drink wine. He's even encouraging Timothy to drink wine, so I must be right about wanting to get drunk. Even Jesus in John chapter 2, see, he made wine for the wedding feast of Cana, and he encouraged people to get drunk there. So it must be okay for me to drink wine. Do you see a problem with that? That's called eisegesis. That's called using the Bible to prove the beliefs that you already have, rather than exegesis, which means that I'm approaching the Bible to find out what the Bible is really teaching first, what the real meaning is according to its original author, and then shaping my beliefs based on that. Okay, that is such a huge difference, and yet that's what so many people do. They read their own interpretation into the Bible, right? Because, for instance, even with the wine example, if we used exegesis and we're trying to take things out of the text, the exe, okay, instead of eisegesis, which means reading things into the text, if we were going to use exegesis, we would note that apparently Timothy wasn't drinking wine at all. And so there must have been something that he had hesitation about from drinking wine at all, and so much to the point that Paul had to encourage him to do that. And not only that, but we learn culturally that they didn't have clean water. They didn't have Brita water filters like we did, and so in their culture they would add a little bit of wine, okay, to mix in with their water, so that it would serve as kind of a disinfectant, okay. It would purify the water. But there was nothing in this text, if you use proper interpretation, that is encouraging Timothy to get drunk or to be a social drinker and go out to parties and say it's okay to do that as a Christian. This passage has nothing to do with that. That's so important. Or maybe another example, if I believe that infant baptism is right and it's perfectly okay with God to baptize babies, well, then I'm going to go over to Acts 16, and I'm going to show you in Acts 16 and verse 15 where it says that Lydia and her household were baptized. See, her whole household was baptized, so that means she baptized her babies. Really? Really? Does anywhere in Acts tell us how old the members of her household were? No, it doesn't. We're just reading that into the text to support our own belief. And we've really got to guard against doing that. We must ask, what is the text really telling us, and shape our beliefs based on that. That's proper exegesis. I hope that's clear and helpful. Lord willing, I'll see you next time.